California politicians advance a proposal to impose a costly tax on internet ads to fund liberal media outlets in our state. Plus, threats on the assembly floor. What one politician did in a violent outburst. That's all coming up. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California, and these are the stories we're covering today. Let me just tell you that the legislature has only a matter of a few hours left in its legislative session as we are recording this show. And that's when all the bad behavior starts. And at the end of this podcast, I'm going to share with you a video clip of an assembly member threatening the physical safety of another assembly member. Oh, no, it's not a Republican threatening a Democrat. It's a Democrat threatening a Republican. So you're not going to hear about it on the evening news in your area. But let's talk about the liberal media. California's liberal media establishment, these newspapers and the TV stations are all on the side of liberal politicians, the Democrats of this state. There is no shining a light or transparency. There's no accountability. There's no critical review or investigations of the Democrats who have run our state into the ground. Instead, it's all bias and spin to protect the politicians. That's what we see happening in local journalism and the local markets, the media markets across the state of California. Because those outlets no longer do good journalism, a lot of viewers, a lot of subscribers, they've walked away. And so the ratings have plummeted. And with plummeting ratings or plummeting subscriber bases for newspapers, advertising dollars are also drying up. It's a beautiful thing. I always say when someone cancels their subscription to a liberal newspaper or decides to turn off a liberal channel in their market, an angel gets its wings. People are walking away because they're disgusted. They're disgusted by the partisanship, the bias, the gaslighting that liberal one-sided media has become. Well, that means that those outlets are financially destitute. They're on the brink of going bankrupt. Again, Darwin settles this score here. Darwin is basically saying if you don't do your job and your customers and advertisers leave you, well, you have no one to blame but yourself when you go bankrupt. And that's happening across the country, but particularly here in California in our media outlets. So what happens? The liberal politicians in the state legislature, the Democrats, are galloping into the rescue of their liberal media friends. And they want to do a massive taxpayer-funded bailout of liberal media to prop them up. So basically now officially state-funded media with this proposal. Who's going to pay the taxes? Well, ultimately you are, but the actual tax will be levied on online advertising platforms known as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the like, Google. So here is the story of Senate Bill 1327. It passed today in the state Senate, and it would impose a 7.5% tax on all advertising revenue of big technology companies with social media platforms. Again, the main ones are getting hit: Google, Amazon, Facebook, Twitter. Any company that has $2.5 billion in advertising revenue would have to pay this tax on gross receipts on online revenues. So what will this result in? It will result in those platforms, well, potentially turning around and starting to charge you for various items, or passing higher rates on to their advertisers, which in turn turn around and pass higher rates on to you. I mean, again, there is no free lunch. When you raise taxes, it's not like this is magic money that pops in. It's not like, oh, the big company gets to pay that. No, they're still going to say, how do we hit our profit goals? And so if there's a cost that goes up in the form of an online advertising tax, it'll be paid for somewhere in the form of a higher cost to you. It always happens that way. But who is benefiting? People who shouldn't benefit. Liberal media outlets are being bailed out using taxpayer money. That's what this bill does. This creates state-sponsored media. They were already voluntarily covering up for the state prior to this. Because they did that, they lost their advertising revenues, their subscriber base, and now SB 1327 comes along to bail them out. It has not yet passed the assembly, but I predict it will, because, again, Democrats want to continue to have state-sponsored media in California. Another one that I want to share with you is, again, these are the end session hours in the legislature before they go on their July 4th holiday. And so people are getting hot under the collar. In the state assembly today, there was the parental notification bill that was considered that would keep secrets from parents if this thing passes. And it's going to pass, and it's going to get signed by Newsom because they've shown themselves to be completely disrespectful of parent rights. And let me just tell you, they're not helping kids through this bill either, because when kids are, going through, questioning phases when they're young, and a lot of kids do, they need the love and support of their parents. Parents need to know so they can be more in tune, more attentive to these kids. And there's nothing, threatening about parental notification. But this would ban parental notification in California. Ultimately, it will go to the 14th Amendment, U.S. Supreme Court under the 14th Amendment. It'll be overturned because parents have a right to know, because they have a 14th Amendment right to govern the affairs of their children, not the state. But here's the bill being debated. And apparently, Assemblymember Corey Jackson, a left-wing defund the police lunatic, he got angry with Assemblymember Bill Essayli. Bill Essayli was opposing this bill, and Corey Jackson decided, instead of debating policy, he would issue a violent personal threat against a fellow assembly member. This is an egregiously bad violation of decorum, a violation of assembly rules. I can guarantee you, though, that Corey Jackson won't be disciplined. And I absolutely guarantee you that this exchange will not be covered by the liberal media markets in California, who are about to get some money for their silence in the form of this taxpayer-funded subsidy. Here is the video. This is Assembly Member Corey Jackson right here. He's out of his seat. And then suddenly a bunch of other assembly members come over to him to kind of push him back from physically assaulting fellow assembly member Bill Essayli. Listen to it.
Dr. Jackson, please.
You better watch yourself.
Dr. Jackson, please.
You better watch yourself.
You better watch yourself. You better watch yourself. You know what that's all about. You better watch yourself. And he's getting up, and look at that lady trying to stop him. See what else?
You better watch yourself.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You know I love it.
But he's not going to smack his thumbs over here today.
Dr. Jackson, get control of himself. Of course, this guy's out of control. He can't handle it that someone has a disagreement. Now, might I just point out that previous to this, Bill Essayli's microphone was cut off again by the Democrat supermajority thugs that run the state legislature. They silenced a duly elected representative. So on the one hand, you've got this abuse of power and the abuse of process by the majority in cutting off microphones. Because if they don't like what you have to say, they're going to shut you up. They're going to try to silence you. Again, an absurd abuse of legislative process. Everyone has a right to speak, even if you disagree. They're duly elected. Each individual member of the assembly, all 80 of them, have a right to represent their constituents and be heard. But apparently under the anti-democratic Democratic supermajority in Sacramento, they have a right to shut off microphones. So you've got that abuse of power, and then you've got physical threats being made by one member against another.
Jackson, Dr. Jackson, please.
You better watch yourself.
Dr. Jackson,
You better watch yourself.
You better watch yourself.
You better watch yourself. I mean, this is on a parental notification bill that they're saying, hey, this is in the best interest of children. What do you think our kids are learning when they see elected representatives behaving like a bunch of bullies and thugs? By the way, they're saying the reason why we need this bill is we don't want people to be bullied. Dr. Jackson, you might want to, read the room.
Corey, come on, let's go. I love it.
I love it. So you have another Democrat loon saying, I love it, trying to push him, calm him down, stop a physical altercation from happening.
You know I love it.
He's not gonna smack his thumbs over here.
He's talking smack. Look, when you got to resort to physical threats of violence, you're losing your argument, sir.
Jackson.
Okay, so Dr. Jackson's got to get control of himself, indeed, on a number of levels. Look, whether it's the internet tax to prop up liberal media or the abuse of power and threats being made by the majority party against the minority, these people are absolutely extreme and out of control. Your state government is a laughingstock, and it's time to shake up state government. It's time to restore transparency and accountability and some level of sanity. I urge you to join us in our fight by going on the website, reformcalifornia.org. Sign up to get our voter guide, because we think we should take Corey Jackson out of office, and we think that we ought to break the Democrat supermajority. We actually have 12 seats across the state of California in this state assembly that we are within a few points of winning. So these are toss-up seats. If we win just 9 out of the 12 seats, we break the Democrat supermajority. This is going to be a game changer. We also are going to offer you the plain English voter guide, which gives you a plain English description of what's on your ballot in terms of ballot measures, because a lot of the politicians are deceiving voters by putting false and misleading titles on the ballot measures themselves. So sign up on this website. At the bottom of reformcalifornia.org is the sign up portal. Here it is. First name, last name, email, phone, zip code, and subscribe. It's free, and we'll send you that voter guide when your ballot arrives in October. Plus, chip in a contribution to fuel our fight to restore sanity in California. Until next time, Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California. Help us break through the censorship of the liberal media. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and smash that notification button so you can stay up to date on all the developments in California news and politics. Also, please visit the website, reformcalifornia.org, for ongoing news coverage and to join one of our campaigns in the fight to take back our state. If you can, please sign up as a volunteer or chip in a contribution. This episode of Reform California with Carl DeMaio, paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly 2024.